hour, so I'm just attending now.
Okay. All right, well, welcome everyone. Thank you for joining. I'm going to talk to you today about how to communicate with your instructors or your professors. Let's see here. And I'm just going to go over a real short PowerPoint. There is some things you want to be aware of in communicating with your instructors. I'm going to give you some simple strategies to just make your communication effective and accurate. And I'm really going to share it from the perspective of a faculty member, because that's what I am. So I want to give you some tips that helps me receiving emails on what you could do as a student to send your emails and communicate with your instructors and get the information that you need quickly. So I'm going to see if I can go ahead and share it, and just let me know if you see it. Make sure everything's going all right. Okay, do you see?
Yep.
Okay.
Should be good.
All right, so first, when you send that email, and one of the things I had you do for my class is I did, your very first assignment was to send me an email. What I like to do is establish that communication right away. So sending that email is important, and the one thing you want to do in sending an email to your instructor is be aware of the subject line. So what are you going to put in that subject line? A lot of times we think about, designing what we're going or putting in the message. It doesn't matter what order you do it, but in the subject line, you want to make sure you identify yourself. So you want to identify the subject line by including the subject or purpose of that email in just one or a few words. You don't want to type the message in the subject line. So you want to keep that very short. All right. You don't want to put a whole sentence in there or anything like that. If you do that by mistake, that happens. Okay, we're getting just notices here. All right, so getting a lot of feedback here. So you don't want to put that in the subject line. Today with cybersecurity and everything like that, if an instructor might see a lot of words or characters in the subject line, they may dismiss it altogether. So it doesn't happen very often, but just be aware of that. And you want to state the purpose of that email. Now, one good thing is if you're not even sure about the purpose of that email, and I have you do for my classes, to identify the course and the section that you're in. So the course, I just use an example for my course, so SES 101, and then the section, whatever that may be. I just put ACTON, but whatever it may be, it could be history, sociology, psychology. Try to list the course, the section, the course number, and the section. That helps to identify you. And you may say, okay, why is that important? That's certainly an advantage for you, but why is that important? Well, if a faculty member is teaching, a number of sections, it's a lot easier to track which section that you are from. So you're just thinking that the instructor knows which section you're in, but we don't automatically know that. And oftentimes we get, we have to look that up. Certainly for full-time faculty members that might have 5 sections or more, you could easily have over 100 students. So if you're asking a specific question and we don't know what section you're in, it makes it a little bit more challenging to look up and address that need. So if you don't know what to put in the subject line, put at least, a short phrase on what it's about, but I would somewhere put in as well the section. So whatever that may be, SCS 101, and then ACTON or whatever the section number is. And then the subject I'll put here, like, for example, essay on US presidents. I don't know if you can see it at the bottom here, history 205 EW. So that would be something perfect. That would let the instructor know it's regarding an essay on the presidents, and it also identifies the section. And feel free, if you have any questions, to let me know, either now, I guess, or at the end. So the email structure. You want to start with a greeting. I think your communication with an instructor should be always professional, of course. And then part of that, you want to establish some sort of greeting. You can certainly get to the point, that's fine, but a short greeting adds a little personality. It's nice to read. So good morning, happy Monday, hope you're doing well, whatever it may be, but a proper greeting is always, we always like to see that. Identify by name who you're contacting. So, this is, your name, of course. I would add your last name as well. And then avoid slang, disrespectful language, or anything like that. Disrespectful language is just really nothing that's offensive. I wouldn't say I've experienced that, but any sort of slang or anything that you just think wouldn't be appropriate, I wouldn't put it in the email. It pretty much goes without saying, but I'm stating it anyway, that, you definitely want to make sure that you communicate in a professional way. And lastly, you want to avoid exclamation points unless it's urgent in nature. Oftentimes we'll see an email, it's like, I missed the assignments for today. We understand usually when students are reaching out, it's pretty urgent anyway. But if you're writing in all caps and, a large font and exclamation points, it doesn't necessarily make things transpire that much more quicker. So we try to address it as soon as we can. So with your email structure, again, try to have some sort of greeting, identify what the issue is in a short message or email. Then you also want to avoid any sort of slang or anything that's inappropriate. Make sure you put your first and last name in that email. And again, if you have to use exclamation points, fine, but you don't want to make it like a text message or anything like that. The message. So be specific, get to the point. The longer the email chain, the higher chances of a delay from either you, student, or instructor. So what I mean by that is a lot of times I would get an email from a student and I'd have to ask a question regarding that email. So it leaves the area open for me to ask a question back, which just prolongs the email chain. So you want to be specific when you send that original message out. And sometimes you forget maybe what to put in that original message or original email, but you want to try to be as specific as possible. If you're going to start getting into an email chain, we're very busy, as I'm sure you are. And what happens is it delays what you're trying to accomplish. So try to get right to the point. You want to avoid poor punctuation, sentence structure. You don't want it to write your email as if it was, or type your email as if it was a text message. So you want to avoid, common acronyms and things of that nature, as I have listed there. You want to keep it professional. I do know some instructors that won't even respond to an email like that. So you want to be aware of that. So you just want to make sure that you are, respectful in the sense that you're going to make your email and your message professional. And then signing off. So you can say thank you or sincerely. They work perfectly every single time. Again, I'm telling you to get to the point, but if you can have a proper greeting, have the body of the message, and then also signing off with a thank you or sincerely, we like to see that. So it's very nice when we do get an email of that nature. And then if your message is unclear or incoherent, again, you run the risk of not getting a response. So, we get a lot of emails. And if, there's an email that's really unclear, or, I've gotten emails that are, 4 words long, and I don't know what the student's trying to say. I'll circle back to that. Sometimes, just gets put on the shelf. You don't really have time to decipher that. And that's what I mean by that email chain. So you want to be clear and to the point. You don't want to run that risk of it. I don't want to make it sound like your email is disregarded, but if it's unclear, there's a good chance that it's going to be delayed in your response. So again, with the conclusion, you want to sign off with a statement of appreciation. So thank you. I look forward to hearing from you, or I appreciate your time of reading this. This is all bonus points. We like to see this. So when you have a nice greeting, good morning, Mr. Williams, or how are you today? And you sign off with, I appreciate you reading this, or I look forward to hearing from you. at least for me, I like to get back to you as soon as possible. Pretty much regardless of the email, but we like to see that. So I could speak for most faculty when you have that sort of sign off. It just keeps things professional, and it shows that you're encouraged and enthusiastic to get the email back and answer whatever and address whatever issues that you may have. It's a little tip I have here. It also sparks a pleasant dialogue from the instructor. So if you're a matter of fact with the email, you may get a matter of fact with the response. So what do I mean by that is if you just kind of state the issue and there is no sort of like greeting or no sign of kind of sign off, and you say, Mr. Williams is, are the assignments due on Monday? Are the assignments due on Monday? And I might say yes. But if you're asking more of a question like, good morning, Mr. Williams, how are you? I'm not a little unclear if the assignment's due Monday or Tuesday. I'm working on this assignment and I was going to turn it in on Tuesday. Is that okay? That sparks more of a dialogue. So if you, again, create more of that dialogue, you have a message, you have a greeting conclusion, it really promotes that sort of response. If you're real short and to the point, which there's nothing really wrong with that, you're probably going to get that sort of response as well. So kind of the whole thing about college is what you put into it, in life for that matter. What you put into it is what you're going to get out. So if you're putting into the email, even an email, just real short, simple things and not a lot of detail, you're probably going to get that sort of response back, if anything at all. So what's the harm in just spending a few extra minutes and just kind of, expanding on the email and clearly designating, and communicating what it is that you'd like to be addressed. And then before you hit send, please proofread your email. You want to check for spelling, grammar, and accuracy, okay? There's simple mistakes with email. You're typing real quickly. It happens to me all the time. You might spell something incorrectly. That's fine. Errors happen, mistakes happen. That's fine. So I'm not saying that your spelling needs to be perfect, but if you're going to be sending an email and it really looks like a word salad and it's all over the place and there's all kinds of spelling errors, that's a problem. Okay. Again, we want to keep things professional. And if you're certainly sending that to an English faculty member, not to put them under the bus, I don't know what kind of response you're going to get back, if any at all. So check for spelling, check for your grammar, and check to see if it's really conveying what you're trying to ask, or what you're trying, what sort of issue or problem that you'd like to be addressed. So check for accuracy with that. So make sure that you proofread the email. So before you get to the very end, just go back, take a look at that subject line, take a look at the message or the email itself, and then hit send. Also, be patient. Sometimes students feel that, they send an email and, we're in this information age and that we should get a response immediately back. I know some of you probably feel like that with text messages and probably may get frustrated when somebody doesn't text you back right away. Emails is a little bit longer. So you have to be patient with that. If the instructor doesn't get back to you right away, just please be patient. A lot of times we may have, or you may see in the syllabus, response times and how long you can expect to receive a response from an email. So sometimes that's listed in the syllabus. So check the syllabus. If you send an email on Friday night, I wouldn't expect to get one back Saturday morning or Friday night. Instructors might say it might be 48 hours. If it's sent on the weekend, you won't get responded to until Monday. So make sure you check the syllabus to understand what the instructor's expectations are with that. If you send it during the week, I like to say, give it at least 3 days. Like I said, faculty members get hundreds of emails a day. So not only are they getting them from, students, but just things from the college and so forth. So there's a lot of emails coming through and you just want to give it enough time to get a response back. So if you don't get a response back the next day or the next day, I would just wait at least 3 days and then send a follow-up email. And you have to remember that professors and instructors have lives too. So, just waiting by, to receive that email and getting frustrated when you haven't got that back doesn't help matters. Just realize that, just as students, are dealing with different things and personal items and issues that may be happening in their life, same with instructors as well. Okay. In case you need to rescind, just add a simple phrase. I like this one a lot. I wanted to put this at the top of your inbox in case you missed it. So basically saying you're just putting the message at the top of the inbox so they can see it again. You can ask, Mr. Williams, did you see, I sent you an email. I do occasionally get that from students saying, asking if I received their email, and I appreciate that. And that gets a response. So again, if you haven't heard from the instructor in the number of days and you're patiently waiting, you can certainly send another email, and then you can add just a simple phrase that putting at the top of your inbox. I wasn't sure if you received this, just checking in, but you don't want to reply back. I sent you an email 4 days ago and you haven't responded. I don't know if that's going to be the right tactic and the right way to get a follow-up. Occasionally I get that, but it doesn't help matters. So again, remember, professors have lives too. So don't take it personal. Don't feel like you're unnoticed or you're unimportant. The instructor might be getting might be in the process of getting back to you. So like I said, just be patient and keep in mind, sometimes we just miss it. Again, if you're getting hundreds of emails, most of the time we're going to be able to respond accordingly. But occasionally, it may get lost in our inbox. We may have just simply forgot, maybe in the process of getting back to you. So just try not to take it personally or anything if the instructor hasn't gotten back to you. Just send another email, be polite about that, and usually get a response pretty immediately after that. Especially if it falls on our end and you are owed that response or email. I think that's it.
I have a question and a comment, maybe both. I don't know if you feel the same way, but I'm going to file this under wanting students to feel comfortable communicating, not just with us, but also with their professors and really anyone here within the college. When we send out, I don't know if you feel the same way, but when we send out group emails and a student responds, just acknowledging it or saying thank you, I can tell you my entire team is like, wow, did you see that email? We get so excited to hear from you guys. And I'm sure there are professors out there that are like, somebody's listening. So don't be afraid to respond back and say, thanks for that information, or wow, I didn't know that, or ask a question even. I'm in a master's program and my professor sent feedback on a paper I wrote. And I actually responded to her saying, you actually got me thinking about a different concept that ties into the same report. And it actually opened up a dialogue between two people that could have went an entire semester just not even really communicating. So don't be afraid to just have a conversation and be human. So
Yes,
I just
that's
want to
great.
put that out there. I think it's really important. I think a lot of times students are just afraid to talk.
Yeah, and I think it's important to establish that email communication right away. So it is a requirement for my class, but I think even if you can just touch base with the instructor early on, I think it shows initiative that way. And it starts the email chain. I think just I've reached out. It's better than a student waiting to the end of the semester or middle semester and hasn't had any contact with the instructor. I think it builds a little bit of apprehension to reach out. So if you can do that early, that'd be great. And I think it breaks the ice, so to speak.
Especially in this online world where we're not in the classroom, they don't know you. You don't get to know each other like you do when we're on campus.
Yeah.
So.
Any questions at all?
Speaking of not being afraid to communicate, who's going to raise their hand first? No questions.
Yeah, I was considering putting up some example emails of some really bad ones, but I didn't want to do that. Um, but I think if you're going to spend the time to communicate and reach out to your instructor, make it a good communication, you know? And again, I don't want to put too much pressure on sending just an email, but you know, keep it professional, and you don't want it to sound like a text message, you know, have some proper grammar in there, be clear on what you're asking, and you should be fine.
Daryl, on a personal note, what do you prefer? Do you prefer they reach out to you via email or text or phone? What do you like the best?
I offer all three.
Mhm.
Students tend to email more. Occasionally, I'll get some text messages, um, but not all instructors have the option of text messaging.
Mhm.
And phone calls now with everything is even more difficult, and I think just prolongs everything. So really, primarily, probably for most instructors, it would be a matter of just email.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Daryl, I wanted to say that every once in a while you hear from a student who has sent an email, possibly a second email, and doesn't hear back from an instructor. And in that case, you know, they might want to alert their success coach and just kind of discuss the next step. So, you know, sometimes that does happen.
Yes. Yes, it does happen, and I think you know, there's resources. We talk about resources in our class, and the success coaches is one of the great resources that, you know, particularly ACT 101 students have. So if you would reach out to a faculty member and you tried a number of times, you haven't heard anything, so the next step would be to contact your success coach. There's a number of ways you can respond to it. And I think as a student, you want to problem solve. So you don't want to throw your hands in the air and say, okay, well, I've tried contact the instructor 3 times. I sent them 3 emails on 3 different, you know, occasions, and they haven't got back to me. So there's nothing I can do. There's nothing I can do. I don't know what to do about this assignment. Well, you have all these resources to help you be successful. So I would immediately reach out to your success coach and discuss with them what the next steps are in order to address your issue. So you know, this is a course, it's a college course, and you want to problem solve. So don't let that discourage you. And again, we could start thinking, all right, I emailed this instructor 3 times and they haven't got back to me. They're a terrible instructor. How do you not respond to your student? You don't know what the instructor is going through either. Okay, so there's all kinds of situations. You don't know if they're dealing with something personal or some sort of tragedy happened. So these things happen, but you have resources around you to help you be successful and solve that issue.
I was going to add that, Daryl, we actually did have a student at one point during, obviously we're still online, but who could not reach their instructor. And we did find out that there was some personal issues. I don't remember if she was in the hospital or what the issue was, but it was one of those things where they could not reach the instructor. And when the success coaches reached out to her supervisor, we found out that there was something else going on. So it's so easy for us. I mean, I do it. We all do it. We're human. We all jump to conclusions. So and so's not getting back to me because they're mad at me, or so and so did, you know, whatever the reason might be. But we have to just be open and use our resources. And that's what we're here for. That's what we want all our students in our summer programs to get from this experience, is that there's so many resources here for you to use. There's no reason for you to feel alone on this journey. We have so many resources out there.
I have a question.
I was going to say Shania has her hand up.
Go ahead.
Yes. In regards to the discussion board, when we have prompts, if everybody doesn't participate, will the student who did participate still receive credit?
Yes. Yes. Not everyone will participate. That happens, but if you do participate and meet the discussion board requirements, yes, you will receive full credit.
Okay. Thank you.
And Daryl, this is relating to the fall semester, but I remember in one of your workshops, you mentioning that it's a great idea often before classes begin to reach out to an instructor and say, I'm so-and-so, I'm going to be in your class in the fall. Just want to introduce myself and possibly ask the best way to prepare for the class, or just to kind of let them know that you're looking forward to it and are going to work hard and hopefully do well. So I wondered if you speak to that in your class, or if you want to say anything about that now.
Yeah, sure. If I think if you can reach out to an instructor prior to a class, that is an advantage to you. So even this summer, there was a student that wanted to find out about my course in particular, and had some questions about it. So the student contacted me, and really it came down to them getting access to the syllabus and the schedule before the whole class did, just by being proactive in that sense. So a lot of times if you reach out to an instructor before the class, you have a few questions, so certainly try to answer those. You could even ask for a copy of the syllabus. I won't necessarily guarantee that you will get that. It all depends upon the instructor. A lot of times they're making changes, or they it could give you a version of it, or it all depends upon the instructor. So some instructors may not want to give that to you, but why not ask, right? So you can get some things early by just reaching out to your instructor and asking for those things through an email. And I always think too, it kind of puts you in a good light so that you're eager to learn about the course beforehand. And to me, if you can get a look at the syllabus and an idea of what to expect before the course even starts, I think that's a tremendous just mental advantage. Not that you're really going to get much work done beforehand, but I think just mentally, I think it prepares you in a different way.
I just thought that was such a wonderful idea. And also sometimes, you have no idea of the depth of the course, and this might let you get a real feel for how much work is going to be required. And if, let's say, you have a science class and a math class and something else, you can try to figure out, am I really taking on too much, or is this something I can handle given, my work and other responsibilities?
Yeah, I agree.
Any other questions?
Mm.
Communication is key. In our Teach Yourself How to Learn, most of you probably have the Teach Yourself How to Learn book that we give out, and in the workshops that we do, I often talk about being the front row student. There's always that front row student when you go to class. There's people that always sit in the front row. But when we're online, how do you do that? How do you be virtual and be that front row student? You do that by communicating and letting the professor know who you are. So it's easy to hide and just be invisible when you're online. But this is how you become that front row student, and it's all about communication.
I was also going to add, Daryl, if you have any words of wisdom, since you've got this captured audience at the moment, like about your class, what would you say to them all right now? As for Jumpstart, they're only in week 2, but for Bridge, they're now in week 5?
Yes.
6. Thank you, Jennifer.
I think what's important is the balance of your schedule and getting things done throughout the week, and not waiting till the day before it's due to work on your assignments. I think for the Jumpstart program, we're in week 2, and I put an announcement up if you haven't seen it yet. There's a number of assignments. It's probably one of the heavier weeks of content and assignments that are due this week. I think there were 6 in total this week, all relatively short assignments, but I put a schedule up as an announcement to just kind of show students that if you just did a little bit each day, it's a lot more manageable than waiting the night before it's due and saying, I got all of this work I need to do. And it's like, yes, certainly. You're taking a 6-week course or the 10-week course that you're taking, and it's all it's at a faster rate than what we normally offer in the fall and spring. It's an accelerated course. So everything's going to be happening a little bit faster, particularly for the 6-week program. So you really want to do a little bit each day. And I was actually thinking about it last night, and that's why I devised that schedule. And I put it up as an announcement that, you know, if you just did a few of these assignments, I think it was 3.5 hours, I think altogether of work, which sounds like a lot, but if you did half an hour each day, you'd have time left over before the 7 days, just 30 minutes. I think it was 2 hours worth of required reading that I have for 2 sections. Again, if you did 30 minutes a day, you'd be done by day 5. It wouldn't even take 7 days. So if you wait till the night it's due, what happens is you get overwhelmed. You're not producing your quality work. You're getting frustrated with yourself, or you're getting frustrated with the faculty member or course. You're second guessing college. You're wondering what else. And then everything starts to spiral. But if you can get a habit of just checking in and doing a little bit each day, if you could do that for a 6-week course, you're certainly going to be prepared when you go into the fall. In fact, you're going to have an abundance of time. It's going to be a lot more manageable. So that would be my words of advice. Don't wait to the night it's due, or just wait, a couple of days or a day or so before. You really should be checking in on Blackboard just on a daily basis. I get it. Saturday comes, you don't want to check Blackboard. That's fine. I think even with the schedule I put up on Blackboard, I gave you 2 days off. So if you did work for 5 days, you easily accomplish it without doing any work on Saturday and Sunday. Now, of course, you could certainly work on Saturday and Sunday if you want, but I was just giving a simple example that if you just did a little bit throughout each day, throughout the week, you have time to spare. So it's discipline. Discipline is definitely the key.
Thank you, Professor.
And I'd just like to add what you said earlier, just a moment ago, Christine. I think these students have been tremendous, but I think they have a wonderful opportunity and advantage by having these coaches to support them. It's a tremendous resource that you have right there in order to help you be successful. And not all students have that resource immediately available to them. So I would certainly take advantage of it. If you're having any sort of issue academically or anything personal, talk to your coach, inform them of the situation, and then you can problem solve and see what the next steps or the best options are for you to take.
Awesome, thank you. Any other questions, whether it be for Professor Williams or for any of the coaches or just in general before we go?
I have one.
Go ahead.
From the Jumpstart, did you send that that slideshow from the Jumpstart to the students?
I actually just converted it yesterday, Michael, and I'm updating a handbook that I'm going to attach with it. Thank you for following up, but that should be going out today or so.
All right, thank you. Just thought I'd ask.
Yeah.
Never hurts. Always ask questions if you have to.
Please
Right?
do.
I'll add that.
Absolutely, anytime. And you guys can always email us too if you have questions.
Right.
And my team knows I always tell everybody, if I tell you I'm going to send you something or if I owe you something, I always say nudge me, because like Professor Williams said, we get busy, we forget, things get going. I am never offended if you text me or email me and say, hey, you said you were going to send me a link for this, or you're going to do this. I am never offended. I appreciate the reminders. So thank you. Jennifer.
I just wanted to say thank you guys for all the support, especially Professor Williams and everything with my craziness right now. So thank you. Class has been a lot of fun and very eye-opening as well.
Awesome.
Thanks, Jennifer. It's nice to see you, and hang in there. Hang in there.
It's great to have you here. So I do want to remind any student who is not registered for fall, if you need to make an appointment with your advisor, I know some of you, especially if you're in Bridge, you can schedule your appointments, you could schedule your classes yourself. However, if you need an appointment with your advisor, please do that. If you have a moment, just go ahead and do that today, because advising appointments are only going up until August 6th. After that, we go into drop-in appointments only. So you want to make sure you get on their calendar now before we make that transition into peak time. For those who are new to the college, drop-in means that you call in on the phone and you sit on hold and you get whoever is the next advisor that is in the queue. So you won't be able to get with your regular advisor during that time. The other reason is you want to get the classes that you want. So you want to get in that appointment early and you want to schedule your classes early. So I encourage everybody to, even though it feels like we're in summertime, make those appointments and get your fall schedule set now so that you have what you need.
There are some classes that are already filled up. You may want a particular date and time and they're already full. So you need to start early.
Yeah, and also there's some classes that are fully online, fully on campus. Mostly at Bluebell, but those classes are going to fill really quick. So if you want to be on campus in the fall, you want to watch the schedule and really try to get in to those classes early. Questions? I feel like I said that and I'm really going to have questions after mentioning campus. I might have just opened up a can of worms, but I was there yesterday. I can say it's very exciting to be back on campus.
Daryl, will you be back on campus in fall?
Yes, I'll be with the flex model. So yeah, and a hybrid too. So not fully on campus. I mean, I will be on campus, but the students will be sharing time in the classroom.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Jennifer?
I just have a quick question about what's the difference between flex and hybrid? I was confused by it.
Daryl, I'm gonna toss the baton to you. I don't know. You can probably explain it better than I can.
Yeah, I'll do the best I can because I'm still getting clarification.
It's new for all of us.
Yeah. So from my understanding, a flex is where the class is really divided in half and one group of students can attend one day and the other group of students attend the other day. So whether that's Monday and Wednesday or Tuesday and Thursday, whatever those time slots are, whether it's 8, 10, 12, whatever the times are, whatever day you pick is the day that you go into on-campus in-person instruction. The other day you were online. What the flex model is that you can decide at any point to not attend in person and connect online. So if you were, let's say, for example, you had a class Monday and Wednesday at 10 a.m. and your day to go in was on Mondays, you could go in on Monday at 10, or if you decide not to go in, it gives you the flexibility to patch in online and learn synchronously that way. So you can decide, you could come into one class and decide that you want to learn online at home. You can do that. You would have to just patch in those Monday and Wednesday. Does that make any sense? I know it's a little confusing. A hybrid's a little different where you must come in that day that you signed up for the class. So if a hybrid doesn't give you quite that level of flexibility. So using that same example, on a Monday, if it was 10 a.m. and my day is on Monday, I must attend that day on Monday. If I don't, I'm marked absent.
Okay.
Hybrids
Makes
like
sense.
attended.
Thank you.
I know it's confusing for all of us. We're all kind of going
You
through it
explained
together.
that very well, actually.
Okay.
You explained that very well.